Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Saturday afternoon and yet again it's raining in the UK. So I was looking for interesting shells and I found this shell on in a shop, in a souvenir shop near the beach. It's quite ironic, I'm on a beach full of shells and I couldn't find one that I wanted, so I paid £1 for this one. And so I thought I bought it on purpose to photograph it. And this was ages ago, so today's a bit dreary and I thought, why not do it? So you can see the setup here. I've got the Mamiya with a 120mm lens on it. I've got a roll of Ilford FP4. I've got a shell, I've got a light meter, I've got some blackboard, and it's quite nice in this room because there's a skylight window here which is casting really nice light down onto this table, so it's ideal. I don't need any external lights or anything, just natural window light, and that's it. Hopefully go in the darkroom and do some printing and see how it comes out. Now if it comes out well, I've already got a nice cut mount for an 8x8 square print and a frame as well. So I'm going to be hopefully mounting and framing this picture and putting it on the wall indoors somewhere. So this is the shell itself. I've put a little tiny bit of wettened the tissue and then dampened it down just to give the shell a little tiny bit of lift towards the camera. So it's given me the bit of stability on the shell to work with. I'm just going to shoot it as is and see how it prints. So let's get started doing the shoot and see what we come up with. Okay, so I'll start off at a fourth of a second, and because they're slower speeds, I'm going to use the camera's timer. I haven't got a cable release for this camera, so I'll use the camera's timer, which is fine. Take the first shot, and I'll stand very still after doing this because I don't want to wobble the camera on the floorboards. Here comes the first shot, stand back. So that's 3 shots. I'm now going to change the shell around and see what other shapes we can get out of it. Done with the shell. Let's change it around and get the egg out. So that's that. I've taken 6 photographs of the shell and I've taken 3 photographs of the egg. I've got this fork. I'm going to take a picture of the fork. So I had 2 more shots left in the camera, so I decided to put the egg on top of the fork. So that's it. I've got the back of the camera off now where the film is. I'm going to take the film out, put it in a tank and develop it. I'm only going to develop it normally. I usually use rod and roll at 7.5 minutes. And just slow inversions, 5 inversions every minute, nice and simple. And yeah, that's done. Let's see what the negs look like and see how we can make them work in the print. Okay, I've got the negative now on the enlarger and I've got the darkroom lights on at the moment so you can't see it, you can just about see it faintly. But I've made this 8x8 mask, which is basically my easel for this print because that's the size of the print I want to make. And if I just turn the lights off in the darkroom, you can see I've got all this overspill here. Now on the side of my enlarger, I've got these little tabs where I can pretty much crop. If I just slide this tab across here, you can see that at the top, I can just close it down. It just stops any excess light. And this one as well. Okay, so the camera settings when I shot this was f11 and I used the shutter speed to control my exposures. So looking at the 3 negatives, the one stop under was the best choice because I managed to keep detail here at the top part of the shell, which was pretty much white. I mean, this scene was quite hard to manage in the first place, a black background, window light and a white shell. So you can see this area here is completely white and then we've got some nice tones going on. Now I know that the background is black, but what I'm really interested in is this shadow area here. Now this is going to be important to make this image work because I don't want the shell to look like it's just flat on a black background. I need to give it some sort of depth. And the shadow underneath is going to do that for me. And you can just see the shadow falling off around the shell and coming onto the shell and then onto onto the board there. So that's going to be a little bit tricky. I'm going to have to do some test strips. But before I make my test strips, I just need to open the aperture again to get more light, so I can just do one final focus check, because these enlargers sometimes have a tendency to go out of focus, especially if there's a ghost in your darkroom. Okay, it's kept focus, that's good. On to the test strips. Into the developer, and all I'm interested in at this point is the shell and what tones I can get out of the shell. I'm not interested in the background or the shadow underneath the shell. I'm just looking at the tones on the shell itself. It's come through pretty quick. Now this is fresh developer, look how quick that's come through. Okay, I'm going to stop and fix this and we'll have a look at the test strip. Okay, so I've got a test strip here of 5, 10, 20 and 40 seconds. Obviously 5 is too bright, but and 20 is too dark. 10 looks alright actually, looks like I'm getting some nice tones in 10. So I'm going to do an overall test strip of 10 seconds and see what I can get with that. So this is 10 seconds overall, and I'm going to start having trouble here because this is still too blown out for me. I just want to kind of bring a little bit more tone into this highlight area here without killing the rest of the, you know, without going jet black around here. I don't want it to go too dark. This is quite a nice tone I've got here, but I need to control this highlight. There's two ways I can do it. I can either burn this area in, which I don't really want to, or I can use contrast filters. I decided to go for a contrast 1 filter for 20 seconds, and this is what I got. So I got a low contrast and I started to work on this highlight here. So after doing this test print, I thought I'm going to do another one for 20 seconds, which is here, with the contrast 1 filter, take the 1 filter out and then just give it a burst for 5 seconds. And as you can see, it's now started to bring the top of the shell in nicely. I'm quite happy with that. And it's also gradually darkened here. But unfortunately, it's blackened too much at the bottom, so I've got no shadow. Now all of a sudden I've lost the depth of the shell. So I'm going to have to work on that. So let's do another test strip, and I'm happy with this area. I just need to now work on the bottom and see what we're going to do with this. Okay, so this was a fuller test strip I did at 20 seconds with a contrast 1, just so I could see where I'm going around this area. And then I decided to stick with my original plan, which was, I have to write it here, 20 seconds, the contrast 1 filter, 5 seconds with no filter at all, which brings us back to the original test strip we did with the split grading. But instead I've got my dodge tool on this one. It's quite simply 20 seconds contrast 1, and then for the 5 seconds I just went like this, just smoothed it underneath. And now if you can see, I don't know if the camera picks it up that well, now I've got my shadow. So the only way I can see if this works is by going for a 8x8 print. Hopefully I won't waste it. Let's see what happens. Right, I've just checked that, the focus is all good. Just put my contrast filter inside the little filter housing there and get the paper out. That's all I did on the bottom there. Let's see how this print comes out. Okay, in it goes. Now, when I was doing the test strip, I didn't have the camera near the enlarger, so it was much easier for me to burn. The camera was kind of in the way of me and the timer, so it was a bit tricky. So if this one doesn't come out, I'm going to do another one off camera and post that one up. We'll see how it goes. And this is why, you know what, this is why I love film, because if I'd shot this on digital, I'd be sitting on Photoshop, within 5 minutes it'd be done. You know, using the dodge burn tools, blah blah blah, maybe some layers or whatever. This is why I love film, because it just takes time, and you know, when you've got that final print in a frame on the wall, you know what you've gone through to get where it was. Right, I'm going to leave that now for another 20 seconds in there and stop and fix, and I'll show you the end result. So this is the final print that I've made, and I'm really happy with it. I've managed to get the depth that I wanted by just bringing this shadow out underneath a little tiny bit. And yeah, got the highlights in the shell and tonality in the shell as well. Unfortunately, I've got to do another print because a couple of little dust marks here, which wasn't on the negative, it was on the paper. So I've had to do one more print, which is drying at the moment. But other than that, I'm really happy with this shell and the way it's come out and the work that I've done on it. Yeah, so overall, I'm pretty glad it was pissing down with rain. Otherwise, I would never have got to photograph that shell that I'd bought and paid £1 for. There's all the bits behind me. I used two 12x16 pieces of paper for all of this. As you can see here, there's one more up there, like I told you, which is being dried at the moment, and that's got rid of the dust marks. And yeah, I'm really happy with the work that I've done on this. Going to get it mounted, going to get it framed, going to get it put on the wall as well. If any of you guys got any comments to make about this video, how you would have maybe done it different, let me know in the comments below, because you know, it doesn't only help me, it helps others as well. Apart from I wouldn't have took the photograph in the first place. That might be a good one. Anyway, please like, guys, subscribe, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks a lot for watching.